In today's video, we are going to take a closer look at this pedal. This is the Behringer Super Fuzz, and if you remember, 10 weeks ago I made a video where I showed you how I re-in-housed it. This video is about what that means. And what do I mean about what does that mean? The way the pedal looks, which is this way, obviously with buttons, this is just an empty shell by the time you see this video, which is 10 weeks after the video where I switched over from plastic to metal. And this is the way the pedal looks now, and hopefully you agree with me that it looks better. And if you don't, that's fine. But I think it looks better. And this video is a review of the pedal, but not the pedal the way it came, but the way the pedal is now, and what has happened, and what is my thoughts and feeling of the pedal before I played it in a metal enclosure and after I played it in a metal enclosure, to sort of give a weird kind of review, I suppose, of what I think about this pedal now that I've had it for 10 weeks. It's obviously been a little bit more because it takes some time to make a video, and I also had the pedal before and obviously played it when it came in the plastic enclosure, not only because I needed to know what it sounded like, but also to, you know, make sure it worked and things like that. It would be a disaster if I made a video showing you how to rehouse a pedal and then the pedal didn't work and I had to figure out what was wrong with it to figure out that it was broken all along. So obviously I had to try the pedal first. And I also had to wait for the metal enclosure to show up, because I ordered it online, like most people would probably do. And so I had this pedal for maybe somewhere around 3 weeks before I started taking it apart. And I didn't play it that much because it was kind of boring and uninspiring. It was a basic good fuzz sound, I thought, but nothing special. I have some other fuzz pedals. For example, I have this fuzz pedal, and it's basically a big muff. I really like this one, and so in comparison, this was better than the plastic enclosure. Now that was mainly because of how the pedal looked. The sound wasn't bad, but it was uninspiring and it was sort of boring. And I have other pedals that I've shown you, and some of them are just more fun to look at, and they feel better when you interact with them, both in like the weight and how they texture, and they feel more real. Things that are made of plastic can sometimes just feel sort of fake. So what happened when I rehoused it? Well, I rehoused it, I plugged it in, I played it, I made sure everything worked, and then I made the video. And since then, I haven't really been able to put it down. I've had a lot of fun playing this pedal, and I think most of it has to do with the fact that it is a metal enclosure and it feels better to move the knobs now because everything is a little bit more sturdy and it looks better. My sister did the graphics, and we decided upon changing it slightly so that it would fit the new enclosure but still look like the original Behringer pedal, and then add a superhero on it. And it was mostly just a joke on the name. Super Fuzz sounds sort of like a superhero. And we decided, like, hey, what if we made a comic about a superhero that was a pedal? And at some point you're gonna see, you know, the villain show up and his, you know, love interest and stuff like that. But anyway, so what is the point of this video, you could ask? Because most likely you don't have this pedal if you're not trying to make it an exact copy, which I welcome you to do. See what happens, let me know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's sort of interesting to to look at how you interact with something and how much you like something, not only on the fact of how it sounds, but also on the fact of like how it looks and feels, and how this pedal went from being a very inexpensive beginner pedal that I didn't find to be that interesting or exciting to something that I really like. Now it could be that this is my newest pedal. I haven't really bought anything new since this pedal. And new gear is always more fun than something old that you've had lying around for 5 years or something like that, and that you may be somewhat bored with. But there is one thing that I do want to point out, and this is my experience and this is what I think, and if you don't agree, that's perfectly fine, and that is that it's not as good of a pedal as you might think. This is a clone of a Boss pedal, and from what I've gathered without trying the Boss pedal, it's supposed to be an exact copy. And the thing is, if you're buying the pedal because you just want to try out that circuit, and you know that like 20 euros or 25 euros, I don't really know what it goes for on the top of my head. If you feel like that's an okay amount to spend on a pedal, I think you should go for it. Because it is a pedal that sounds nice. And from what I can gather, it's a very good replica of that Boss pedal that you no longer can buy. Or if you buy it, you have to buy it second hand, and you'll have to spend a lot more than 25 euros. A awesome pedal that will make your playing like more epic than anything else. It isn't that unique, it isn't that crazy. It sounds nice, but it's not a game changer in any means. It isn't worth the hype, to sort of say. I mean, it sounds nice, and if you like it, that's great, I like it. But yeah, it's not a mystery pedal of some sort. And if it sounds 90% like the original one, I would say that it's good enough. I can't imagine the original one being anything else than a pedal that has been discontinued. And most likely the reason why it was discontinued was because Boss realized they could do something better. I can definitely hear in this pedal that it's an okay pedal. And what I mean with that is not to say that the original one isn't a good pedal or that this isn't a good pedal. I'm just saying that if you have this weird fantasy idea of this pedal being something that is a holy grail and will open the doors to perfect tone, you are gonna get disappointed. I'm sorry, but you are. And you'll probably be disappointed if you bought the original one, probably even more so because it's more money. But yeah, if you're just looking for something interesting and fun, and that sounds like a fuzz, but also a little bit weirder, because it does have a gain that I feel is pretty unique for its own right, I would say that it's well worth buying the Behringer pedal. Why people don't like it is mostly the enclosure. It has a horrible enclosure. The plastic is dull and boring. It's a grayish kind of orange that is lifeless, and it feels very cheap in the hand. Feels like a very boring pedal, but it sounds actually really nice. Behringer is really doing themselves a disservice by not putting it in a nicer metal enclosure that would make it feel more fancy. It sounds much nicer, and it's a lot more fun to have to deal with this pedal now that it's in a nicer box than when I first got it. I want to pick it up and play it now. Back then, when it was in the plastic enclosure, I didn't want it. It was boring and uninteresting, and I feel like the sound got better actually. It's kind of weird to say. I know that it's physically impossible, but I really do feel like the pedal got a lot better when I switched the enclosure. And I think it goes back to the fact that we hear pedals with our eyes. A lot of the time, what makes something great is not just the sound. The sound is important to us, but I think that the way something looks and feels, if it feels cheap to touch it, if it feels like it's made of something really hard, like metal, if it has a little bit of heft to it, I think that it will actually be better. Now, this is just my thoughts on it. I have a couple of fuzz pedals now of different kinds, and this one fits in with the other ones. But I can't say that it's better or worse or that it's special. But there is definitely going to be moments when I feel like I want the sound that I can get out of this pedal instead of maybe, for example, my handmade pedal here that I've built myself. This is a modified fuzz face, and I really like this one. I probably like this still more, but it does sound a little bit different. I'm pretty sure that if I made a song and I used one of these two pedals, no one would be able to tell which one I used, because we like to think that fuzz pedals are a lot different, but most people would probably not be able to tell the difference between any fuzz pedals. And obviously I don't play guitar and focus on sound and nerding on these things for anyone else's pleasure but my own. And I think as long as that's the approach you have to making music, that you're getting the sounds you want and not the sounds you think are the right ones for some imaginary fan that doesn't even exist, I think that that's okay. It's when you start going after things like no one will like my guitar playing until I buy an original Fender Stratocaster from 1962. That's when you start to get into trouble. And also, you're gonna get disappointed in that case as well, because what really matters is if you can make good songs. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I didn't go over the specs so much, but I feel like there are enough people making reviews of this pedal, and it's been around for a long time, so you don't really need me to tell you what the specs are. But I don't feel like that's the point of this video, really. It's not a review in the same way and in the same sense. I'm not trying to tell you whether or not you should buy this pedal. I think that when it comes to what you should buy or not buy, you shouldn't buy anything unless you've actually tried it yourself. You should never listen to what anyone else has to tell you about what's good or not. I'm just simply saying this pedal is better than you might think it is, because it sounds better than it feels. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this somewhat helped, or that you find this video in somewhat interesting. If you have any questions about the pedal, write comments below, because there's probably something that I haven't thought about that I could share with you in the comments below. If you liked the video, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. That helps me and lets me know that this video is appreciated. Until next time, stay awesome and cool, and go and play some fuzz. Even if you only have one pedal, or two pedals, or three pedals, you need to go and play some fuzz, because it's actually an awesome guitar effect. It's the first guitar effect, and you need to play it, have a lot of fun, and I don't know, just do it.